Well, hello and welcome to Super Summer Series TV, Trade TV. We've had our grand final played, we have our premiere, and we're going to break down tonight and have a look at that grand final. We'll review all the action and we'll have a look at the teams and how they're placed at the end of this season. And we'll see who's going to stick and who's going to split. And we'll be joined by Ben McManus of Berkeley Golf as we break all this down tonight. But we'll treat it as Ben comes in to join us to a big game of golf in the Super Summer Series. It's Mark 3, Ben, welcome to the show. The grand final's been done. It's played. It's the third season of Super Summer Series TV. There is the claret jug, and the Fuggies were the victors. Let's go first and have a look at the scores and how all the action played out, and we'll get your assessment of the game. The Fuggies coming in with 5.25, very hefty handicap for a grand finalist. The Golf Gods on plus 4.25, so the highest handicap in the comp. 9.5 shots, clearly a lot to overcome. Your thoughts on the game and how it played out?
Yeah, look, it looked for the first couple holes that the Fuggies were probably going to lose the grand final, in my opinion. I mean, they lost a shot in each hole to start with. Probably the one that saved them was the chip onto the green on the 12th on the par 3 by Dave Sortino for the Fuggies. Basically, not even a metre from the water, and it was an unbelievable chip to get up the hill, up and down, similar to Justin Thomas and Jordan Spieth a few years ago in the Ryder Cup. Really, it went up about 15 metres and landed 3 foot from the hole. So it was a great chip, and it probably just broke the hearts a little bit of Lucas Elliott and also his partner Mickey Hay.
Under pressure, wasn't he? Because Reezy was giving him nothing. Reezy was nervous. Yep. He was really struggling off the tee, struggling off the fairway. Talked about how great a putter he was. He was giving Dave nothing, and Dave just had to maintain his composure and really save every hole.
He dug deep, and he had to, and he got his partner and the Fuggies over the line eventually.
Wasn't probably the best quality of golf we were treated to from the Fuggies, but they just did enough to get over the line. So well done to them. Just the 2 pars and 1 birdie from the Fuggies and the Golf Gods. They needed to break their record. They needed to score 30 to be even with a chance. It was a tough ask on the back 9 at Melton.
Yeah, they definitely had their opportunities. They had a lot of birdie and eagle opportunities, particularly on the 2 par 5s. They had a couple of birdie putts as well that just didn't quite drop. Obviously, luck didn't probably go their way on those occasions. Putts that they normally drain just didn't go their way. But they still played some unbelievable golf, and the two levels of golf was pretty far apart from the Fuggies and the Golf Gods.
They're the premiers, and let's have a look. We talk about putting. Reezy had given nothing all day, and here we are on the 16th hole, which is a par 5. And it was still game on here. They need to square a hole. And here is Jeff Reeves putting for a birdie on the 16th par 5 on the back 9 at Melton. We can see that's tracking well. And just have a look at that body language. Doesn't it lift? The shoulders were slumped right up until this point. And look at the body language. Points to the camera, talks about the fact that he's always been known as a good putter, and there it was. And I'll get your summation here on the Golf Gods at this point in their body language. But Reezy lifted after this, off the tee on the 17th and 18th, and really brought it home.
Well, the Golf Gods duffed their chip to get to that position. They have a very good look at an eagle opportunity, but unfortunately couldn't get close enough to the pin where they ended up parring the hole. Probably should have got a birdie or an eagle on that. Yeah, their body language there, they knew it was lost, I think, after that. They knew it was pretty hard to get up. 4 shots over 2 holes, I believe the deficit was. And, yeah, it was just too far a task. I mean, they cracked open a beer after that, so it was all done.
It was game over, so a great putt. And there it are, the premiers, the Fuggies for 24-25. Who would have believed it? They scraped into the finals, and in the end, they're the premiers. And by all accounts, Ben, I'm hearing that Jeff Reeves has been walking around Keilor, strutting, not walking, strutting around, telling anybody that he runs into, lingering in the village a bit too long, by all accounts, talking about the fact that he's premiers in the Super Summer Series, done everything but door knock the community, apparently. So there's not many people in Keilor who don't know that Jeff Reeves has won a golf tournament.
Well, no surprises there. He was pretty up and about and pretty confident. He was pretty nervous up until about the 7th hole, though. And the nerves continued on to the last hole, the final putt of the day, where he couldn't drain a 1-foot putt into the hole to solidify the victory. But Yeah, Jeff Reeves, well deserved. He can strut his stuff around. They won a premiership. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. He can talk as much as he likes.
Well done to the Fuggies. That will soon have your names engraved on it, and we'll have a little separate presentation. That's going to the engravers tomorrow, and well deserved. The third winners of the Super Summer Series Premiership, the Fuggies, Jeff Reeves and Dave Sortino. Right, let's have a look. It is the trade period. It commences, I think, this Friday, the 9th of May. So I do expect some movement then this year. It's been a little bit of a interrupted season with some of the fixturing and scheduling of the games, and I do suspect there's going to be some movement. So let's get some analysis tonight on the teams, which teams are going to stick together and which teams are going to split. We're going to start with the Blue Gorillas. I'll let you do this one, but they finished 10th, only coming off last ladder in the last round. Started with a handicap of 3.75, brought it down to 3, an average of 39.1, but by all accounts, I think they'll come back fired up. I'm not sure they were overly happy this year with some of the handicap adjudication.
BJ's well in Wayne Johnson's sights, I believe. For me, it's a stick. They're not going anywhere. They want redemption. They're not happy with how they've been placed the last couple of years. They want to come out fit and firing last year, and I think they're going to have an inquiry into the handicap process for their team and why it was adjudicated so harshly.
Yeah, I think they could be big movers next year, the Blue Gorillas. Let's go into Clutch and Co. And we'll have a look at them. They finished 7th for the second year in a row. They just missed out on finals. Now, a new record for Super Summer Series, can you believe, for Clutch and Co. 5 consecutive wins, never been done before in this competition. Start with a handicap of 6, finish with 4. So for them to get 5 consecutive wins, they're used to handicaps of 10 or 11 in their inaugural season. So for me, it is a stick. However, there are some conditions. You know, I'm very well connected to the Billy's better half's father, and I do know that there are some conditions that might be placed upon Billy for his availability this year. So let's just have a look at some of the clauses that have come into my hands. But Billy is entitled to play in the SSS competition, subject to matches that's not to be fixtured that clash with the following: nail appointments, hair appointments, friends of friends housewarming parties, friends of friends and family milestone parties of any substance, no matter how insignificant, shopping trips to High Point, Chadstone DFO, Melbourne CBD, and specialty retails, including but not limited to Portman's, Chick, Zara and Jimmy Choo, and any unscheduled transportation need for any purpose whatsoever. So let's hope Billy can get it on a Wednesday night. None of those inhibitions come his way, and he can join Luke and be out there and, play finals next year.
Yeah, look, I hope for Billy's sake he doesn't make it so public as well when he is unavailable. And we probably should keep his cards close to his chest next time and not get found out like he did. Hope he's available more than he's not. Sounds like he won't be available too much next year for the Clutch and Co.
Right, let's have a look at Berkeley, boys. You finished 9th. You made finals last year. Started with a handicap of 6. Bit high for you guys. Finished at 4.5, but an average not too bad at 38.8. Question mark for me. And the only reason I do it, I don't think there's any untoward about the dynamics between you, Lockie, but Lockie's getting married, and we wish Lockie all the best for his wedding in December this year. And we know what it's like when you've got wedding, you've got suits to try on, flowers to go out and buy. You've got to go to all these little rehearsals. So his availability may come into question as well. So I'm tipping that the Berkeley boys may be looking at a merger, or you'll be trying to bring in some other player.
Look, we're having some discussions with some other teams at the minute just to see where they sit and where we can potentially fit in. And obviously as well, we'll also look at the draft pool. Maybe if we can get a player or two to come in and have a selection process to alleviate Lockie, that might be the way to go. But yeah, nothing untoward, just purely availability issues with Lockie coming into getting married.
Righto, let's have a look at the good fellas. I'll let you do this one. Finished 8th. Start off with another high handicap, 9.25. Handicap aboard him in justifiably, an average of 42.1.
Yeah, they're a stick. They're not going anywhere. Tight as tight can be, those Mick and Pete in particular, but Alex came in and played a very handy role on a couple of occasions this year. Probably called upon more than he thought he would be. But yeah, they're a stick. They're not going anywhere. Lock them in for next season.
Good fellas. The Golf Gods finished 2nd, so the runners up. Started with a handicap of 1.25. Many thought that was way under where it needed to be. End of the season, the highest handicap of any team. Average is 32.25. Best team in terms of the average. Played unbelievable golf. Question mark only in the sense that will the competition in the revision that we're going to be doing allow them to be available on the nights that the competition will run. So that's my only condition upon them. Just a little bit of a question mark over the golf gods, but a great year. Congratulations. Some super golf played by both Mickey Hay and Lucas Elliott, and unfortunately the handicap was just too much to overcome.
You could probably argue, their standard of golf's a bit too high for the Super Summer Series, but obviously Lucas a pennant golfer, but they're great golf by them this season.
Let's have a look at Live Golf. I'll let you handle this one. Placed fifth, handicap of 3.5, finished on 0. Which, Mark Ellison, seeing him with a handicap of 0 for the team, average of 36. So right on the mark with a handicap there, averaging par golf off the stick.
Yeah, game over. They're done. Mark Ellison will be in the draft for the second time in as many years, I believe. Couldn't even get a photo of them together with BJ and Mark. Don't have any photos of them being together. So a bit hard to see what their continuity is at, what their body language
Rumour
is.
mill, they haven't spoken since the last round. Now, read into that what you like, but there's been no conversation with their last round of golf, which, had they won, they would have played finals.
I didn't know that until just then, so that pretty much confirms for me that it's game over. I think Mark Ellison will be looking for a third team in as many seasons.
Harsh on Mark. I think they nearly played finals, so we'll see how that one pans out. Let's go and have a look at Spazball. Finished last, so from premiers to last, a handicap of 1.25. Just going up to 2, average of 37 off the stick. Look, I think it's game over. I think Coggers has got some serious mental health issues, struggled with the not winning games, and struggled always abusing the handicap and the competition. Unhappy with the way the competition, what he felt dealt them unfairly in terms of fixturing and handicap. Now he's got some health issues with his hip. He's had a knee replacement, going into the hip replacement. And I believe that Bagger may have been sounding out some other players on grand final day.
Yeah, Bagger was down at the grand final, obviously, and was sort of asking some questions about what people's availabilities might be next year. I did bump into him at the Westwaters as well, where there's some conversations as to whether or not he actually wants to take on Chris Coughlin as a teammate. He's obviously a bit worried about not only his health, but also the way he conducts himself in the communication channels. So I think Bagger is looking elsewhere to see who else is available.
Needs a reset, Coggers. Really needs a reset from a mental health and well-being, and obviously he needs to rehabilitate his body because it's not in good shape. Specialist fielders, thoughts on this one?
Yeah, not too sure what the availability will be like for Mitch Jamieson. He's obviously a pretty prolific cricketer. I'm not too sure. They obviously lost 2 grand finals. They just missed finals this year. They probably felt they should have made it and had another crack at the premiership. So not too sure. I think they might just assess and take a step back, assess what their options are, and see what goes on in the future.
Had they made finals, they were my tip. They were my tip. 30, average of 33 this year. Lukey Dowell had picked up his game to a new level this year. 29, that is a record score off the stick in the Super Summer Series. They hold that. So they played their best golf, 1 game short. And, had they played that and potentially won it, they're in the finals and probably the premiers. It's a bit of a travesty that, they didn't make finals. St Albans Old Boys, your thoughts?
Game over, no question. Obviously, speaking to the commissioner, I work with Livio as well. There's a lot of tension behind the scenes that they don't like to say in front of the camera and in the communications channels. They're definitely, backstabbing one another and probably sounding out some other opportunities, some other golfers elsewhere. Andrew Graham's done. He's definitely going to be entering the draft. I don't see his future at the St Albans Old Boys as a reserve player, particularly with the selections fiasco for the semi-finals. So there's a lot of fractures in this. Despite finishing on top of the ladder, there's a lot of fractures.
It's narrative outside the unity of the St Albans Old Boys. An average of 40. We're not happy with that. We want to be under 40, but we'll stick thick. We finished on top of the ladder with 7 wins. Unfortunately, we didn't get our best golf together in the semi-final. I'm really, Danger's passion, his disappointment, it just shows that he cares. And that's what the St Albans Old Boys are all about. So I think the St Albans Old Boys will be back next year, bigger and better than ever. And really, we want to go one better. We want to make a grand final and see if we can bring home this claret jug.
Look, a lot of people were questioning the draw as well, which I think is a fair assessment. The draw was pretty soft to start the season, which is probably why they accumulated their wins. I don't see this trio going into the next season.
Let's move on to the next one. The Fuggies. We've talked enough about the Fuggies. Their handicap at 9.25 came down, average of 40, but they're sticking. Reigning premiers, we look forward to seeing them next year, maybe with Rory Sortino, Dave's son, as the next, as the third wheel there. Righto, the Water Cannons finished third, back into the finals after a disappointing season 2 in Super Summer Series. Average of 40, they wouldn't be happy with that. Your thoughts?
Game over. It doesn't look. It looks all good from the outside, but on the inside, I don't think the relationship is what it should be. I don't think they get along. I think there's a lot of negativity towards each other. I don't think they're a continuity and they're a team. And this has been an ongoing saga since they won the premiership. They had their hangover. They've come back this year, yes, but I don't think it's quite the same as it was in the premiership season. So they're done.
Now, at the semi-final, you made some comments in the semi-final about their pre-match video when you said it looked awkward, it didn't look genuine. They denied it, but you did something interesting. You went out and sent that video off to a body language expert, and it's come back with some interesting results. So talk us through it.
Yeah, so obviously the results have come back in the last week or so. So we were asked to use images to indicate the visual cues being signalled, and so there was some results that we need to mention. Top image, can see straight away Daly's facial expression is one of real consternation, signals anxiety, trepidation, and concern. You can also see there Wayne is smirking, which demonstrates dismissiveness, disdain, and contempt. Daly in the image below here, where he's not looking, he's looking upward. It conveys a sense of aggression, dominance, or superiority, and can even signal threatening behaviour. Wayne is looking away. He's avoiding eye contact with the camera, which indicates disinterest, discomfort, and disrespect. There is a high level of visible tension in their bodies, as you can see, indicating that both are extremely uncomfortable and apprehensive in the presence of one another. In summary, I think it speaks to a hostile disengagement, and it is an embrace that is awkward as it is strained and fabricated. They are the results from the body language expert.
That's very interesting, that. So there's not good signs there for the Water Cannons. What I thought we'd do, based on that result, I thought it'd be interesting to send photos of all teams to the same body language expert and say, what is a case study? What does good body language look like? And the one they sent back to us was this one here with the good fellas. We've got Pete Venables and Mick Stead there. So let me talk you through what the body language said at that point from the expert. And here's their assessment. There's no falsehoods here at all. Smiles are wide, and we have a look at that. Smiles are wide, welcoming, and unencumbered. There is no doubt about the legitimacy of the sheer joy these two men have in being in each other's company. Eye contact to the camera is direct, natural, and engaging with a strong hint of energetic sparkle, signalling genuine interest, attentiveness, and excitement. And then we look at Daly's hand on the top image. We can see there the tension and aggression with his fingernails virtually penetrating the skin of his partner's shoulder. But we can see Pete's hand over here, and we can see that it's almost caressing the shoulder of Mick, signalling utmost warmth and affection. We can also see Pete's hips are turned inwards and touching those of his partner, indicating a strong sign of connection. And when you couple this with Pete's pelvis also tilting suggestively forward, there are strong signals of desire for physical closeness and intimacy. Now, such is the genuine mutual appeal. This is the interesting one. Such is the genuine mutual appeal between the two parties. I would surmise that with arms behind Pete's back, we can see that they're almost like a little playful little gesture behind his back. There's a high possibility their hands are intertwined. So the body language expert didn't explicitly state this, but they're like half a step away from a dry route, these guys. So that is the absolute epitome of positive body language, and that's not. So not great signs for the Water Cannons. And look, I think it's a great initiative. Well done, seeing the body language expert. We perhaps look forward to more of that next year as the teams unfold.
Absolutely.
Draft nominees, let's go through them quickly because we've got to move on. Interesting couple of names here at the top.
Harrison Bolt, he's confirmed he's locked in. He wants in next year. We're Berkeley boys currently in conversations with him whether he wants to come on full time, given Lockie's availability is going to December. Brad Bolt, he's thrown his hat in the ring. Me and Pete Delbridge did some scouting. We were down at the Keilor Football Club club rooms and we sort of doorstopped Brad just to ask him how he's going. He did say he wants in. I don't think there was much interest. Once we worked past the the awkward silence of myself and Pete Delbridge, we sort of just noted it and moved on.
Not sure the appeal he'll have amongst those that might be looking for a partner, but perhaps Harrison and Brad can combine and come up with a team. I'm not sure I agree with the next one on the list.
Andrew Graham, I know for a fact he is throwing his hand into the draft pool, and he will be seeking another partner for next year.
And
Mark Allison will find a third home in as many years. Him and BJ, I think, are completely done. I don't think there's any way they can make up and resolve their issues.
we could see some mergers. That would be interesting. We could see some mergers based on the availability. Now, Sandy Matheson, another one there that's just added to the list. We know he takes a keen interest in the competition.
Yeah, he takes a keen interest. He's always watching in and asking how it's all going. I can confirm, though, he definitely won't be teaming up with Brad Bolt again. That partnership is done after their one and only season, finishing last on the ladder.
All right, let's get into the trade process. We want teams, if you want to come back, nominate in the WhatsApp group by the 1st of June. If you're looking at trading or you're going to be in the draft, you need to apply for a new team license by the 15th of June. That includes any teams that are going to merge. We just need to know what's going about. And the commission decision will be around July to look at what the competition looks like and how many teams. Now, we have undertaken to do a review. This year, the season was a little bit interrupted. I want to get this competition back to where we're doing it socially. We're playing on the one night, and not only do we get to play a nice social round of golf, we get to enjoy one another's company. There's a strong push for it to be back on a Wednesday night. The course will be yet to be determined, but I invite comment. So you can do it through the WhatsApp group. You can do it by ringing me, email. You can even do video feedback if welcome. Now, I do caution that this is not an open invitation to be disrespectful or abusive to the handicapper or the commission. This is about constructive feedback on how you think the competition can be better coming into season 4 for Super Summer Series. So I'll just caution that the rules still apply around public criticism of the commission, and penalties still will be able to be handed out. So this is about constructive feedback. So please provide your feedback by the 30th of May. Ben, thanks again. That wraps it all up. We look forward to some further updates just between now and the next season. And just the last one, just a little bit of a finish off with Maxi's missile, and it's about Dave Sortino. Well done on winning the flag, but we're not happy. There was a few comments made about these grey flannelette tracky dacks. It looked like he rummaged through the bottom drawer of Peter Venables for those. They're not the kind of standard we want to see in this golf competition. They're okay to lay on the couch in winter. They're okay to go gardening in, even do painting in, but they're not the kind of thing that this competition needs. Ben, I don't think they're up to standard. Dave, next year we will be changing the rooms. There'll be no flannelette tracky decks allowed. The only thing I'll say, they're not Pete's because there's a Nike emblem on them. We all know he buys his tracky decks at Big W, so they are at least Dave's. But please lift your game next year in terms of just standard. And we'll leave it there. We thank Berkeley for their support. Don't forget, you can get online and buy some stuff. Thanks for another great season. We look forward to your company on the next episode of Super Summer Series TV.